What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, what shorts did, and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO did go down slightly, 1.71% today. Couple different attributing factors. One is just simply there was a press conference and there wasn't much as far as like stimulus, no details. So it was pretty much a duplicate of what did happen in, I believe it was November, early November, where there was hopes of stimulus and then just it fell short. So regrettably, a lot of Chinese stocks did pull down today. And then aside from that though, NIO's technicals aren't really looking all that great. So again, that's kind of how it turned out. But low today, $4.49, high of $4.65, 46 million for volume today, 58.6 is the average. You still didn't really see that much institutions really paying attention to it. So one transaction today, regrettably, it was a sell for 152,000. So it does look as though it's going back to normal, just one transaction a day. So that is making it very easy for shorts to do pretty much whatever they want on a daily basis. And then as usual, you see a lot of activity, so a lot of volatility first thing, and then it just goes dormant. And so all of this is algorithmic trading. I think algorithmic trading does make up for a good 50-60% of the daily volume. So I did get some comments in the past, how can retail investors do algorithmic trading? I can do a tutorial video. I've only tried one. I've made, I think, $100. It's kind of hard to set up, and I think the complexity that retail is allowed to do versus a institutional one is night and day difference. But needless to say, stay tuned for that. Maybe I'll try and put that out this weekend on how retail investors can do algorithmic trading. But again, no news, no SEC filings, nothing like that. So NIO's technicals are just kind of stuck in limbo. A couple of things did come out. One is this, so a reconfirmation of 10,000 units ONVO for December. So that's what everyone is really concerned over. And of course, having that reconfirmed again is very bold. So if they do somehow miss, there has to be people that are fired. I think given just the sentiment and just the focus on this, if they fail to do 10,000 in December, then I do feel that someone definitely does need to get fired. But the only other thing that has really come out was this. So NIO talked on a third plant for Q3 2025. So most likely this is what they did talk on in their last earnings on how they plan on doubling production, because this plant is going to be able to do 1,000 units per single shift. So again, that's absolute a massive change, and so that'll increase a annual capacity to 600,000 units just from that third facility. So that's how clearly they're going to be able to double production in 2025. But aside from that, shorts did return 60,000 shares today. 14.13% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 188.68 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of bar average 5.61, and then utilization is 91.25%. And so first thing, shorts doubled down. So as you can kind of see, it had that quick swift downtrend, and so ultimately that was shorts increasing around 8 million shares. Throughout the day, they were kind of returning, and so this is how at the end of the day it did land at them returning 60,000 shares. Clear manipulation in my opinion, but some people tend to disagree and whatever else. But I think just NIO, it just is a very hard stock to really hold, because a lot of people see all this production and all this actual utility, but the stock price doesn't always jive, and it's just a lot of manipulation, a lot of geopolitical issues as well. But right now through IBKR, it does indicate around 4.5 million shares is available to be shorted. This is the article kind of summarizing essentially about that whole meeting that they had, and how there was a lack of details associated to the Chinese stimulus. So that's one thing that really did kind of skew NIO today. But I'm going to go over technicals and stuff like that in a second. But moving over to the options, 4.15 million in calls, 877,000 in puts. 46% of all the options being done today were optimistic in nature. A little bit low overall for the total premiums. So 5 million for today, 7.1 yesterday, 7.3 the day before, and then 27 million or 27.5 million. That's when it went up that 12.36%. So I think just NIO is pulling back. Not much optimism, as you can kind of see. So the calls that were purchased, you see a consensus for it to be above $5. Aside from that, you don't really see that much else. A couple pockets around $7.50 for January, and then it looks like $7 for April, but still aside from that, not really that much optimism. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub 450. So even in there, that aspect, not really much going on. So I think it's just big money is waiting for a catalyst, and I think just right now their technicals are one of the biggest driving factors. And with it closing at $4.59, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So $2.29 or $4.29, sorry, is going to be that next strong support. Hasn't been touched, I believe, in the last little bit, last couple of weeks. So again, that's kind of is fair to assume that it's a strong support, just hasn't been tested yet. And then $4.71 is going to be that next strong resistance slash target. So again, that's going to be one point to really watch for. That one is a strong resistance point, and you can kind of tell based on this as well. So I have the ALMA 50, 100, 200-day moving average, super trend, as well as stochastic RSI. So NIO right now is considered rather overbought, so I think that's also aiding in it really pulling down. Today was the first day in it closing below the ALMA. You need 2 consecutive days for it to really confirm a trend. So again, as I've stated, I think just NIO's technicals are starting to break down, so you might have another leg down. So again, kind of just stay tuned and just watch for those fib levels I talked on for strong support and resistance points, because as of right now, you have a lot of resistance above it. So you have the ALMA, you also have that 100 and 200-day moving average, which is at the high 4s. Then you also have that 50-day moving average at that 521, and then that super trend, which is at 525. And in order for algorithms to start buying NIO, it needed to get above that 525 point right here. So like I said, long story short, I think just their technicals aren't really looking all that great, and it just, I don't know. Honestly, it just needs something concrete coming out from China itself in regards to stimulus, or potentially them to just hit their numbers, which we'd find out in another 2 weeks, give or take, whether NIO does accomplish this or not. But like I've stated in the past, I think just NIO stock price does not always correlate with what happens operationally. So if you kind of encumber this, NIO is going to do a lot of big things in 2025, but as long as you can kind of stomach the volatility, it is what it is. So let me know your thoughts on NIO. Give yourself a shout out if you've been buying, if you've been selling. What have you been doing with NIO? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon, link in the description below and also the comments. I've been giving buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolute bangers, so pop over there to take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.